Hello friends, and welcome to our second class of the Intermediate Spring 2010 Rabash articles. I think I got it.
You got it.
Yeah. My name is Yigal Zahavi.
My name is Richard Chan.
And Richard,
Yes.
before we do everything,
Let's do intention, actually.
That's
You want
right.
to do intention? Okay.
That's what I want.
Okay.
What do we do next? It's the intention.
All right, this is very important. So let's start with the intention.
That's right.
We do not understand what this power of unity is. The power of unity occurs with each and every one when he wants to merge with the others, connect with the Kli of Adam HaRishon through his desire. And this entire system will help us out in this. So if we have even a small desire to unite with it, and we are ready to connect inside of it with our heart and soul as much as we can, then of course that will be enough to enter the stage of the Yobar, which means fetus. And that is a step above Maksum, and that is a spiritual step.
Thanks, Richard. As always, please ask as many questions as possible. And Richard, and if you have any questions, ask me also. And I'll
Definitely
ask you
will.
questions as well.
Okay.
Today's article is... What's today's article?
It's concerning the importance of society.
And it's on page 305 of Kabbalah for the Student. Alternatively, if you have the PDF, you can also look on page 305, PDF of the entire book. Or if you have neither, then the link to the specific article is located on the Learning Center scheduled page.
Mm-hmm.
So today is the second class where we are covering the articles about the group. And last week we got a little introduction about the fact that the spiritual work, all the advancement towards the spiritual, towards the Creator, happens in the group, that you need an environment. And the reason being that you, in order to rebuild this vessel, you have to correct that which was corrupted or broken.
Right.
And the breaking, the corruption, so to speak, in this world happens specifically in the connection between the parts. Or let me draw it this way. Remember, we had the first initial thought of creation, to create a creature and fill it with the light. We had the actual creature or the vessel filled with infinite light. Out of the sensation of feeling infinity, it felt totally opposite and decided that it was unbearable. Well, not that it decided, it felt it was unbearable. And it restricted itself, and a solution was found in order to proceed. The solution was to work with a screen, which was to restrict the light, deflect it, and then receive it with the intention to stow. This kind of restriction separated the desires, or isolated or identified the desires into four distinct levels. Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut. And actually, the last part, that Malchut desire, remained empty, because that desire was so strong, so powerful, that the vessel did not have enough strength. It didn't have a powerful enough masach. This is the masach. Powerful enough masach or anti-egotistical force to receive the light in the part of Malchut. One point that we should emphasize is that this part, this Bina, is a pure, sort of, relatively speaking, pure property of the Creator. Now, the picture could not remain in this, the system could not remain in this kind of state because Malchut remained empty, and actually this makes up a very substantial part of the Kli. So the purpose of creation could not be fulfilled. There was an attempt to fill this light. This part didn't work. There was the breaking of the vessels, which was actually very, very important because the way this system was set, the state of the system was that Malchut didn't have any connection with the point of bestowal, with the property of bestowal. It couldn't even imagine, fathom what it was to bestow. And after the breaking, the two properties, Bina and Malchut, were mixed up. And this gives rise, this mixing up, pure because of the breaking, gives rise to what we call the point in the heart. Okay? The point being that spark of Bina, this property of the Creator, which is desire to bestow. Now, it was corrupted, right? Because there was a breaking of the vessels. So it wanted to bestow in order to receive. In this vessel, this Malchut, which comes from here, is the vessel of reception. And in this state of total, in a state of total shattering of the vessels, what we have a situation where the vessel is all these desires are mixed up, and they are all separated. There are walls separating each one of these cells. Is this collection of some qualities, some desires of Malchut, and some desires of Bina. And they are separated because there's no screen. The screen, this Masach, shattered completely. There's no light that can be felt because there's no screen. And therefore, these cells, or souls, if you will, collectively, this is Adam Harishon, the creature. And each one of these is a soul and the point in the heart that cannot see each other or feel each other. We kind of feel each other to the extent that we want to use each other.
Right.
Okay. But if you're in my way or am I in my way, then you know what's going to happen in this world. Yeah. We know how it works. So our job is to take these points in the heart and grow them and rebuild these walls or erect screens between us, connect between us, and out of that we begin to recreate the creature and begin to feel the light. So that's why we need the group. A, we need that force to reunite, and B, we need other people's points in the heart to unite them, to connect to ours, because in that connection, only in that particular connection between these points, do we feel the light. Okay, so that's why the group is the place where everything happens. All the action is within the group. Where you begin to correct and where you get the strength, the power. And how do we get the power? We get the power through the influence. The group exerts its influence on us in terms of giving us the desire to pursue this particular point in the heart. So now, in effect, the class title is concerning the importance of society, but actually it's more precisely, the topic has to do with how the society influences you. Richard, did you want to say something?
We actually got a question already.
Okay, is it relevant? I hope it is.
we can ask it.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got Anna from Argentina.
Hi, Anna.
For being a woman, well, I have to stop studying Kabbalah since the scope is reserved only to the men. What do I do with my desire for spirituality?
Why is the scope reserved for men? I don't understand.
I guess maybe.
Actually, the group, the group, or the soul, consists of two parts. The so-called, I don't want to go to much detail, the so-called male parts and the female parts. Now, in the spiritual, the male and female parts are completely different from what we understand them to be in this world. Whenever you hear the word male, it's the property of bestowal. Whenever you hear the word female, it's the property of reception. Now, a very important concept to keep in mind is that you absolutely need these two, this point and the heart. In effect, this point and the heart doesn't come directly from Bina, it comes from Zerampin. Okay, Zerampin has sort of the property, it's the intermediary step. Mm-hmm. And the actual corruption happens in Zerampin and Malchut. Zerampin is associated with the male part, and Malchut is associated with the female part. The female part is that desire to receive, and Zerampin represents that point, that property of bestowal. And you absolutely have to have both of them. If one of them is missing, if you have just the property of bestowal, then it's pure reception, only egotistical. It can never switch or change its nature in order to be a bestower. Why? Because it needs some kind of a spark. It needs some kind of a start to know what bestowal is. And that's where you have that point. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if you have just a point in the heart, well, actually, that's an even bigger dead end. If you have just Zerampin, it's a complete dead end because all you have is the property of bestowal, which means, here, take this, I don't want it. You want, take this, no, I don't want it. It doesn't want anything. That's the pure property of bestowal. And we know with that, you can never attain the purpose of creation. Because the ultimate goal of creation is to receive the abundance that the light wants us to receive. And for that, you need a vessel. You need that heart. Absolutely can't do without it. You might as well just drill it into your head right now. Cannot do without it. You have to have that desire to receive, and you have to have the point in the heart, which is a property bestowal. Only those two, when those two are combined, that's the real soul. And when the light begins to illuminate them, it excites them, it brings them life again, and together, combined, and together they begin to work in unison in order to receive the light. And that's the male and female. Okay, so I don't know where you got that idea that women are not part of attainment. The women attain just as much as the men. The connection is a little bit different, but the perception of the light is absolutely the same. Every single part of this kli, at the end, receives exactly the same attainment. If any single part has less attainment than the other, it's not perfection and it's not complete.
Right.
So please drop this idea that women have to stop studying or whatever.
So there's physical groups for women. Yeah.
There are groups for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
They don't. The methodology is a little bit different, but
yeah.
the inner work is the same and the attainment is the same.
Okay. We have.
Okay. We went a little bit on a tangent there, but hopefully we cleared that up for now. Why don't we just begin reading this article,
Sure.
Because it's a very important topic.
Okay. So again, it's page 305 concerning the importance of society. It is known that since man is always among people who have no connection to the work on the path of truth, but to the contrary, always resist those who walk on the path of truth. And since people's thoughts mingle the views of those who oppose the path of truth, permeate those with some desire to walk on the path of truth. Hence, there is no other counsel but to establish a separate society for themselves, to be the framework, meaning a separate community that does not mingle with other people whose views differ from that society. And they should constantly evoke in themselves the issue of the purpose of society, so they will not follow the majority, because following the majority is our nature.
Before we continue reading this, we need to clarify what a group is in the Kabbalistic sense, or what Rabashi calls the society. Because reading this, one might think, okay, you need to drop everything, pick a group of people, and go live somewhere isolated completely, and not be in any communication whatsoever with the outside world. And that's absolutely not what Rabash is saying here. Let's define for ourselves what a Kabbalistic group is. We all live in the corporeal world. Here we are, and we have people around us. Okay? Forgive my art, drawing skills.
Looks good. It's better than mine.
Okay. This is you. This is each one of us, okay? You. You have a point in the heart. Now, you are here studying with others, and you see their physical body. Now, from what we are studying and the material that we're covering, you infer that they're here because of the same reason as you are, which is the attainment of the Creator. Mm-hmm. Adhesion with the Creator. Therefore, they have a point in the heart. You may not feel it yet, but you can infer it. Okay? Now, each one has this point in the heart. In last week's class, we covered that there is a complete separation between the spiritual and corporeal. It's not that these are different realities, different broadcasts, if you will. It's the same reality, it's a perception. We perceive the spiritual and we perceive the corporeal. Because there is no screen yet, we cannot really perceive the spiritual. Okay? And there is a complete separation. The group, the Kabbalistic group, is this particular connection. Above our ego. Here it's all ego. You see your friends, you don't like how they look, you don't like their character, how they speak, whatever it is, all the reasons that you can come up with why you don't like others, it's irrelevant. It's actually set up. It's a setup. It's a theater by the Creator in order to give you room to work, go above this perception, this corporeal perception, because it's painted for you this way by your ego.
Right.
And connect purely to this point in the heart, which is the spark of the Creator. The Creator has effectively put a substitute for Himself. Because it would be very, very easy to work directly for the Creator. It's very easy to work for someone who is greater than you are. Mm-hmm. Someone that you feel has something to give you. Someone who you can expect a reward for if you do them favors. So that's why the Creator concealed Himself in the others. And basically, what the Creator has said, He has created this system for us called the group, and said, okay, you want to attain me? Please do. More than welcome. To do it, we need to have equivalence of form. To have equivalence of form, you have to be able to bestow like I do. To really be able to bestow like I do, you need to practice and actually try this action of bestowal in a very neutral way, not so that you can't see me, in a concealed way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the group is. So if you can ignore this, not ignore, overcome this, there's no problems with this. But focus on the points in the heart. Care about others in this respect. It's a sort of a virtual space, disconnected from our corporeal bodies. If you can work with these, solely with these, overcome your biases, your inhibitions, your ego, then in effect you are acquiring the property of bestowal. Now, this is hard. This is what he's saying here. It's very hard to do this. It's against our nature. Because why? Because we are, from our birth, by the time we can do anything, we've gone through so many different ways that we can be influenced. School, parents, neighborhood, work, television, internet. We get all sorts of ideas, so much baggage, and everything points towards reception. If you really try to bestow, you're considered a wacko, crazy, insane, right? The real bestowal. People come to you and say, "Why are you doing this? It's like a drop in the bucket. You're wasting your time. Just enjoy life while you can." Whatever the arguments are. So that's why it's very, very hard, and you need to find a society that will influence you and tell you, no, actually, this kind of work is worthy. You should do it, just for its sake, just to acquire the property of bestowal, just to have the status of the creator, for pure altruistic reasons.
Right.
Otherwise, you cannot do this on your own, Richard. Chime in.
This is off topic, but what about babies? Would you say they're closely connected to the creator because they're not influenced at all, since they're just born and is it easier for them than rather than, like you said, all the
Rav Leitman says usually that eventually, the society will develop, and they will, and Baal Salom also writes this in the future generation or the last generation, that eventually society will develop and they will try to pass on they will set an example for their kids, and it will be much easier for the kids to acquire it.
Right.
But other than that, I think I don't know anything. I'm going to stop here.
Okay.
So that's why we cannot do anything. We're influenced from every direction, fashion, whatever it is that you want, style, morals. Morals change all the time, again, because of society. Now, this time, I in order to nail down this concept, we'd like to show you a clip of one of the lessons by Rav Michael Leitman. It's a lesson on this article from June the 6th, 2010, where he kind of talks a little bit about how we're influenced by society. So let's run this clip. It's 4.5 minutes, and we'll come back. We'll continue with this class and answer your questions. And as soon as you have any questions, please post them. So we'll see you in about 4 minutes.
We can't even imagine to ourselves how much we took our form from our environment. We were born and we were brought into a family, then kindergarten, then school, and all the books and films and music and various influences from outside, the neighborhood, the neighbors, the street. We always saw many examples of how to benefit in the will to receive, because that's how others behaved, and that's what we learned from them. And we never ever received examples for how to do actions of bestowal. And although we were taught about seemingly nice actions of behaving nicely to others, they said that this is good for you, it'll bring you a reward, be a good boy, and so on. Meaning we always received examples. It's our inner programming. We were nourished and programmed with this program of reception. How do I behave in order to always receive and get benefit of reception? And then the habit already turns into a second nature. I can't see or feel things differently. I don't detect reality, and perhaps I would detect reality in different frequencies of bestowal and not of reception. And now I just don't identify these things, because that's is simply how I grew up, and I'm already that. And of course there is a great work of inverting nature here. And perhaps there will come a time when children will grow in a different way, in an environment of teachers and parents and relatives, and generally a great society of surroundings that will work differently on them and between themselves and on the children. But we already got in our childhood and in all our years of life only examples for how to benefit, how to use our ego. So now building a different environment and behaving differently in it, trying to change ourselves by it, is very hard. Very hard. There's an upper force that helps, that sends you its upper light that you need to equip yourself with and influence yourself. But the changes are still very hard on purpose, in order for us to see the advantage of light out of the darkness, to see all those contrasting forms of reception and bestowal in ourselves and the Creator. On the one hand, we stay ourselves, the will to receive. On the other hand, in our actions, we are as if the will to bestow. We have the intention to bestow. So it turns out that we do not get cancelled, and yet we are similar to the Creator. That is practically the goal of this world and the way we are in it. We can't even...
Welcome back. I have a story about being influenced. I remember many years ago, this is a long time ago, at work, everybody, the guys that used to hang out at work were very much into baseball. And lo and behold, within a couple of months, when they came and we started socializing, at lunch, whatever, I became a complete baseball nut. It was, looking back, I'm surprised that I was able to be influenced so easily and so completely. It was unbelievable. I was reading books and watching television, radio. Anywhere I went, if there was a baseball game on, I would have to have a radio with me. It was unbelievable. And then I noticed something else. When those guys moved on to other jobs, when the last one was gone, within a couple of months, I completely lost all interest in baseball. So it's a very, very good example of how we are influenced. And actually, it's a good exercise to to try. And this is one of the exercises that we were going to tell you at the end of the class. Whenever you are, try to sort of notice how that environment is affecting you. For example, you could be in a shopping mall, and before that you were all creator, da da da. And then you come into the shopping mall, and all of a sudden you want that phone, and you want those running shoes, and you want that. Well, my wife wants that dress, and you just want everything, and you want everything, and you kind of just the environment affects you, and wherever you are, do a little exercise and see where are these desires coming from, and try to see if they're coming from your environment where you are right now. So, in effect, what Rabash is saying is that your group, or if you read the next paragraph for us.
Yeah. The society isolates itself from the rest of the people if they have no connection with other people in regards to spiritual matters, and their contact with them is only on corporal matters. They do not mingle with their views, since they have no connection in matters of religion.
And religion in this context means attaining this property bestowal. So what Rabash is saying is that the group and this isolation, what it means is that this is the group, this connection of the points, this thought to attain the Creator, to attain the property bestowal. This is what keeps the group going, alive, not these so-called corporeal actions. You can, on the corporeal, you can be connected to other people as well. Work, family. They don't have points in the heart yet. They're still dormant. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to isolate from them on this level. The only isolation is in your thought. So wherever you are, you could be at a baseball game, at a party, on vacation, doing all sorts of, on a hike with your family, whatever it is. You could be in two places simultaneously. There's nothing that says no, that you have to drop everything on the corporeal. Absolutely not. This is not what we're saying. Remember, we're saying to the contrary. We don't work with these corporeal desires. We let it be as before, and we don't actually never eradicate that heart. We only expand the point. We make it bigger, bigger, bigger. So wherever you are, you can be in two places. In the corporeal sense, wherever you are. And in your heart, you can be with your friends in that thought of the common goal with the Creator. There's no reason that one needs to eliminate the other.
Right.
Often, for example, at work, you could be, if the work is really involved, yes, you have to focus on the work. But sometimes you're doing some repetitive stuff, for example, you can still think about two things. Mm-hmm. Your body is just sort of like working on the assembly line, and your mind is in a completely different world. And that's what it means by worlds. It's where your mind is, where your intention, where your thought is, to want to connect with the points in the heart. It's a virtual space above the corporeal bodies. That's the group, and that's what we focus on. And in the corporeal, we try not to change anything unless you really have a strong desire through your point in the heart that you want to alter something in the corporeal. But there's no such thing as begin to, we have to completely eradicate the corporeal. Sorry. No. Any questions?
We got tons of questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Which is good. Okay, so we'll start with, let's go all the way back up here to the list. From Victor from Homestead.
Hi, Victor.
Hi, Victor. Is the Maxim created by the group, or is it something we each do individually?
It's actually your attitude towards others. It's this here. This attitude here. So you don't care where your friend. Well, you do care where your friends are. But as far as you're concerned, it could be a person who's just started studying a month ago, or it could be a veteran who studied 5 years more than you. That you don't focus on that corporeal aspect of it. We strictly focus on the point in the heart. And depending on your effort, on how much you try to connect to that other's desire and nurture and support it, that that desire to bestow, that gives rise, that's the fetus, so to speak, that what we read of the masom. Okay, so it's within you. You get the strength from the group to pursue that desire. That force that you need in order to pursue that desire comes only from the group. You don't have it, but you still need that. You need your effort. You need to put in your effort. And actually, to be more precise, this is exactly where the freedom of choice exists. There is no freedom of choice nowhere else. You don't have freedom of choice in terms of what tie you wear to work today, or what drink you choose, a Coke or a Pepsi. Right? It's actually all predetermined by your desire that's given from above. But the freedom of choice is exercised when the two options are neutral, are equal. Right? For example, a crude example, if the Coke and the Pepsi are absolutely the same to you, it doesn't make any difference. So in this respect, if the spiritual and the corporeal are sort of weighed the same to you, because if one weighs more, then your ego takes over, let's go, right? Foot on the pedal, and away you go. But if it's kind of hanging in the balance, why would it hang in the balance? We'll talk about it later. But if there's a little this hanging in the balance, then you have freedom of choice. And your first step, your first action of freedom of choice is actually when you decide to be part of a society that Rabash is talking about.
Right. Yeah.
That's the first step. And then it's constantly, your ego grows and you say, well, what do you mean I have to bestow to my friends? What does that mean I have to care for my friends? I should care more for them to cross the masom than me, for them to attain spirituality above my need to attain spirituality. I can't do that. No way. That's your ego. That's your opposition to the property of bestow. Remember, the Creator left and said, you want to attain me, you have to work with your friends.
Right.
And here, this is why this methodology is very clear and precise. The group is the image of the Creator, because everybody has that spark of the Creator. This is a very clear place, a laboratory where you can practice bestow, equivalence of form with the Creator. Your attitude towards your friends, of how you feel about them attaining the spiritual, how much you want or willing to work for their spiritual attainment, is precisely the resistance, the revelation of the ego, of evil. That's the corruption. The corruption is being revealed right there in front of you,
right.
Clear as day.
Yeah.
You don't have to guess and imagine things where the Creator is. That's where exactly what you need to correct, and you know how to correct it. It's the prayer. Any more?
Yeah, a lot more. Good question. Great answer. Zadakim from New Jersey. Equivalence of form is the goal of the group. That's a question mark. Is that the goal of the group? Equivalence of the form?
The goal, there's a certain conception that, the goal is to be in equivalence, The goal is to attain the Creator, to reach that absolute abundance that the light wants to fill us with. That's the goal. At the end of the day, we have to feel this light, this tremendous, tremendous pleasure from bestowing. Because we've talked about it, how our egotistical vessel is finite. It's impossible to attain the goal of creation. We attain this vessel of abundance, infinite abundance, if we have an intention to bestow above our desires. So our collective goal is to help each other to attain that end goal, purpose of creation, by the means of equivalence of form. So in this laboratory of the group, this is where we come in order to practice bestow, to play that game of bestow, right? We acquire everything through game playing, and to be influenced by the society, like we just covered a few minutes ago, how we are completely influenced by our surroundings. And we make a conscious decision, yes, I'm influenced, I don't have the strength. I need to put myself in a particular environment that will influence me in the right direction.
Right.
And that's your freedom of choice. So that's the goal, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear now.
Yeah, it is. Okay, we have Victor again from Homestead. The screen seems to be the key to entering spirituality. How do we reject the light in order to develop a screen? And number 2, what exactly do we have to do and how do we do it? Please provide examples.
Okay, it's not a corporeal action. It cannot be relayed, and that's why all the Kabbalistic texts talk in this sort of language of roots and branches. It's an actual attainment of a particular quality that cannot be relayed. It's a feeling, a sensation. It's in 2 words. The screen, it's an intention that we acquire through our effort of growing the desire, nurturing the desire of wanting to bestow. Wanting our friends, those with the points in the heart, to attain the Creator. They cannot attain the Creator if they don't have that force, that strength, that only you can provide to them, and they can provide to you. But you're not so worried about them providing it to you, because that's already sort of an egotistical action. You have to be only concerned with giving them that strength, that inspiration, so that they can work with their points in the heart and reach adhesion with the Creator. And this particular intention of yours, this particular action, is at first it's egotistical in nature, but you know eventually where you're going. But this serious game playing of wanting to bestow is eventually given life from above, depending on your desire to actually reach it. Your seriousness of how you play this game, it's granted. It's opposite to our nature. It's completely opposite. It's not what we expect it to be. But this particular attitude of wanting the friends to bestow, to feel that light, is your screen.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best that I can explain at this stage.
Good answer. That's very good.
It's not of this world. It's like in this virtual space.
We have Zipper from Chicago. Hi, Zipper.
Hi, Zipper.
Please give us an example of how we can bestow to the group.
Okay, that's a lesson in itself that it's coming up. I think it's in the next class. The next class is going to be concerning the love of friends. From Kabbalah for the Student on page 288, and that love of friends. How do you? Well, that's the gate. This connection between your neighbor is called love. That's the glue. That attitude towards them is called love. So we're going to cover, the whole class is going to be dedicated towards that. What's the question again already?
That was, give us an example how we can bestow to a group.
Very quickly, it's to inspire them.
Yeah.
Give them inspiration.
Absolutely.
In a very crude terms, we're going up the mountain. What is the best thing that you can do for your friend? Because the goal is to go up the mountain. Okay, it's when you're on the mountain, your goal is not to what?
Reach the top first, or
well, the goal is to reach the top.
Yeah,
right. That's why these people got together and they want to reach the mountain, the peak, right? So it's not your friend doesn't want
be left out.
That's right. He doesn't want to be left out. So if you all of a sudden start giving him $5 or $10 or whatever it is, just a crude example. It's completely useless for your friend. He's on the top of the mountain. He wants to reach the peak. He wants you to give him something that will help him. What is it that you can give him? Oxygen mask to give him strength to go on. We're climbing the mountain towards the spiritual. What is it that propels us? The desire. That force is the desire for the spiritual. If you can inspire your friend, support them. By example, there's all sorts of means. By caring internally, you can connect through. You can influence them spiritually through. We'll talk about it. Through your thoughts, actually, and through physical actions. That's the best thing that you can do for your friend. We'll elaborate about it in future classes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. George from Mexico. Hi, George.
Hi, George.
Does nullify myself mean that I have to see the merits of my partners and not their flaws?
This is what it means. Going back to this diagram. Your friends have points in the heart, but on the corporeal level, you start thinking, you know what? I really don't like them. I don't like how they look. I don't like how they talk. I don't like their behavior. Why? They're so stupid. I'm so way above them. I'm so advanced. Well, this is the work where you go above these kind of sensations, because this is how the Creator conceals Himself. And if you can go above your own corporeal sort of perceptions, enter your own point in the heart, meaning, no matter what I feel, I want to bestow. And no matter how I see my friend, I don't care. I just want to focus on this point in the heart, because that's the spark of the Creator. So this is what it means, that you want to see the merits of your friend. Because if he's also in the group, also exerting effort, and even though he may seem the biggest goof to you, it doesn't matter. If he is still in the group and making efforts to attain the Creator, that's all that counts. That means he's got the point in the heart, and therefore there is something for you to connect to.
Exactly. Yep. Definitely. Okay. Next question.
It doesn't mean that if they come and slap you or something that you forgive them.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Okay. That's different.
Yeah. Okay. We have Adolfo from Mexico City.
Hi, Adolfo.
Do I feel my friend's point in heart by means of my imagination, by thought, or how do I do it?
Well, first of all, you can see that they're exerting efforts. So it's a very, very good inference that they have a point in the heart. And yes, one of the exercises is that you try to focus on their point in the heart, sort of try to imagine what it would mean. And actually, one of the exercises that we're going to leave you with tonight is try to imagine what this virtual space of the points in the heart means, above the corporeal, purely in the desire to bestow. Try to imagine what it means, just, I have all sorts of desires. I see my friends in a particular way. What does it mean to go above this and connect with their point in the heart? Sort of isolate that particular desire, and how would you imagine them being your children? Yeah. We care for our children tremendously, willing to give anything for them.
Right.
But that's because they're so connected with us, and instinctively there's this egotistical connection to our kids. But here you have someone totally separate, right? Again, the Creator is giving you an opportunity to connect in a pure way to Him. So try. Can you work with them as though they were your kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As though you were their parent and constantly worrying about them.
Okay. Veronica from Mexico.
Hi, Veronica.
Does the individual's environment prove to our resistance? Does the individual environment is to prove our resistance?
The environment is there. The environment, the group, is the laboratory. Where you practice bestow, where you get influenced, where you can measure yourself. That attitude towards your friends. It's a clear indication to you where you stand. You practice bestowal. It's the revelation of the ego. And Rav talked in that clip that everything is done in contrasts.
Right.
So you need that contrast to reveal the ego first, and then you have work. You know what you need to correct, what you need to work with, and then the prayer comes. And you've heard this many times. The prayer, it's not just lip service, reading a prayer book, every morning, afternoon, and night by rote. Prayer comes from the heart. And of course, the prayer has to be directed into a very precise area. You really need to know what you're praying for. So A, it has to come from the bottom of your heart. B, it has to be in a very precise direction. Otherwise, it doesn't resonate with the light. It's not answered.
Right.
How does this come about? It only comes about if you actually feel this lack, that you reveal the so-called evil within you. You feel that you're disconnected, and that can only happen within the group. Only out of a discernment. You see side A and you see side B.
Yep.
This can only happen in this kind of an environment that we are setting up here, which is, if you think about it, unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay.
You know what? I want to let's show them the clip, the second clip by Rav Leitman from that lesson, where he's talking about again. We want to emphasize where you have to be very clear about it. Where our vessel is, what our work is, precisely, exactly, so we can formulate that prayer. So let's run this other clip. Again, it's from the June 6th, 2010 lesson.
We must make the effort to be under the influence of the Creator. Where do I know what the influence of the Creator is from? When I read books, am I under His influence? Nope. Because that all goes through my egoistic filter. And I receive what I feel, what I understand, what I desire. Only, if and only when it comes through the environment, it is called that I'm under the influence of the Creator. Because it is said, I dwell among the nation, meaning within the group, within the collection of souls, that is where we find the upper light, the Creator. And thus, man has no chance on his own. Yes, he reads a book, or he engages in something like circulation, study. On his own, he will not advance. It's possible that he's operating in something for circulation, building, or constructing something, but spiritually he's not advancing. We need to understand this so much. The connection is the vessel for revelation. Yes. What else?
There you go. The connection is the vessel for the revelation. Any more questions?
A lot
maybe
more.
We should read a little bit more.
Yeah, okay, maybe we should.
One more paragraph.
Okay. But when a person is among religious people and begins to converse and argue with them, he immediately mingles with their views. Their views penetrate his mind below the threshold of his consciousness to such an extent that he will not be able to discern that these are not his own views, but what he received from the people he connected with.
Okay, what Rabash is saying is that you have to be careful that you don't deal with groups whose what does he call it?
Views
Are very, very close here. For example, there's certain religious circles in Judaism that they use the same thing very close. It's very hard to distinguish.
Right.
But it's all sort of within the ego. It's still trying to correct your character or sort of external qualities.
Right.
Being polite, pious, not to eat too much, but sort of uses the same terminology, sort of, yes, I love you, but there isn't that connection on the among the points in the heart. We'll elaborate a little bit more about this. So that's the most dangerous. You can have many other groups. If the farther they are removed from this, the less danger there is for you to associate with them. And Baal Salam, he brings an example in one of the articles here. For example, you could be a tailor, and if you connect with, and you could, you may have very high standards for the work that you do, workmanship.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if you associate yourself with a group of tailors who disregard the quality, for them quality is not important. They just want to get the product out and make the money. Well, in no time you will be influenced and you will be dragged down along with them if you're part of that group.
Right.
Because there is a certain connection.
Yep.
But if you associate with bad shoemakers, right? You don't really know much about it. There isn't that much connection. So if they're bad, they can't really influence you, and you can retain your high standards for your profession. So that's what he means. You can, on the corporeal, you can associate with anybody you want. Religious organizations, cultural organizations, no problem whatsoever. As soon as they approach in their inner thoughts and views as close as possible to this, but really never enter it, then there is the danger.
Right.
Okay, and there was actually a question from the website in one of the supplementary links. This person, his name is Eugene Lulu. He read the summary of this article and he left this comment. I was reading the article, Dr. Lightman's summary of Rabash's article concerning the importance of society. And I have a few questions. I get the impression that Dr. Lightman wants me to leave my religion, Christianity, since it's a society that seems to be in the way of my studying Kabbalah. I thought that it didn't matter what religion you belong to, since Kabbalah is not a religion, and now I have read that one must separate himself from the group that teaches contrary to the wisdom of Kabbalah. Please help me understand what the article is really saying, as I'm a little confused about it. And then there was another comment by William Van Utrecht who says, excellent questions. Frankly spoken, I don't understand how you can study the Kabbalah, disregard the Torah and the Talmud. And he goes on to say that you can't study Kabbalah without all the all the observances and rituals of Judaism. Well, actually, you can. You can remain in those cultural organizations because they do talk about love, your fellow man as yourself, and they talk sort of about these concepts of improving yourself. But if you dig deep enough, there's never this connection on between the points on the heart with each other. All of these observances, they dressed in a very cultural background. Whereas Kabbalah is pure intention. It goes completely above the corporeal. Whatever you think on the corporeal, the revelation of the Creator, that property bestowal, is absolute giving. In other words, if you think about it, if you try to imagine what it is, it's total immersion in the other.
Right.
When you're immersed in the other, you love them absolutely, and all this baggage of religions does not interfere.
Yeah.
Because in these religions is always, you have to do it my way. If you don't do my way, you're going to hell, or you're wrong, or whatever it is. we can spend hours and hours on this. This is a pure going behind the scenes, not within the ego. Going behind the scenes outside of the ego. Okay, so you can, and Balaslam writes about it, that in the last generation, everybody will remain in their culture and their religions and follow their traditions, because it absolutely doesn't mean, you can be in these two places.
Yeah.
You can be in church, but in your heart you could be in the highest world where you want to bestow.
It's a good question. We got Rob from Kentucky. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Are we sidestepping the ego?
We're going above it, if that's what you mean.
I think so, yeah.
You have the ego, it awakens within you, okay? And the ego is not like, I want to eat, I want a car, I want a vacation. That's not ego. The ego is in relations to others. And again, you can only reveal it in the group, and then you go above it.
Exactly.
It flares up.
Yeah.
You need it. You need it because it's the stepping. Mm-hmm. It's the step. If you don't have that step in front of you, you cannot rise.
Yeah.
So you need that next level of ego, and then you step above it, and want to unite above that newly revealed ego.
That's right. Okay, we got Erica. How do we manage our desires, our want for family, life, love? Will those go away as we attain the spirituality?
You can live in two worlds. You still love, you still have family, you still all have all those things. The corporeal does not disappear. Only at the very, very end, when everybody's 100% corrected, then we live purely in this realm. Till then, we live in both worlds, in the five sensors and in the spiritual. Okay? They still remain with us.
Yeah.
As long as there's any part of the ego that's not corrected, we have the five sensors and we live in both worlds.
Okay.
I have this example that I like to use. It's like when the dog owner takes his dog out for a walk. The dog wants to go there, sniff there, play with other dogs, and you're on the leash. That's fine. Let the dog play. Why not? But you sort of control it, and you can live in both worlds. You can be sort of associated with the dog, and you can be associated. You can be on that higher level, on the human level as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Aneth from Arizona.
This would be the last question because we have a lot of announcements.
Okay. Is this connection with the group more of a spiritual thing, more that of physical? So, is the correction a spiritual attribute rather than physical? Do we recognize it as an individual? So, is the connection with the group more of a spiritual thing than physical?
Yes, it's a spiritual connection. That's why we say that it really doesn't matter where you live in the world. You can connect by the internet and get that energy from the lesson, and throughout the day you could be in that thought with other friends. And of course, there are other actions that you need to be involved in, a little bit of dissemination, studying together. There's a few actions in the corporeal that sort of help you. They're the roots in order to help you in the spiritual. But it's all directed in order to assist you to focus on this particular connection here with the other points in the heart.
I think there's another part question to that. So is the correction a spiritual attribute rather than physical?
Yes.
Yes.
The sensation of the light is not felt in the five sensors. So it's not something that we're going to sort of see with our eyes, hear with our ears, smell, and it's not part of our own imagination. It's a completely new quality. So therefore, we will have to acquire a new nature. Totally different nature, on the level of, let's say, a rock versus a plant. Right? A rock is just, that property is totally dead.
Yeah.
And a plant, for example, already has attributes of growth, photosynthesis. It can process these chemicals, a completely different level of existence. So that's what in Kabbalah what they mean in the level of speaking is that completely totally different quality of different nature, and within that nature we feel. So therefore we cannot fantasize what that light is in when we're still only with the corporeal sensations.
Okay.
Richard, I would like to read some announcements
yeah.
before we answer any questions. If we don't get to your answers, and there's a lot of them and they're very good, please post them on the forum. So your next class is going to be on Sunday for the preparation for the study of the Zohar. We apologize for the technical difficulties of last Sunday, and we encourage you to, if you were not able to connect live, to download the lesson from the archives. And the Sunday class will be 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and which is 9 p.m. GMT. It's one class for both regions. The course schedule has been updated, so you can find all the reading materials for both the articles of Rabash and the prep for the Zohar class on it. So please go for the Sunday class, and for next Wednesday class, you can go to the site and download the material to watch, pre-watch, read for next class. We hope you have made your plans to participate in the Mega Congress. Very important, because we talked about all this group laboratory. So you'll get a very first taste of what this lab work is all about, the initial work. And so the Mega Congress is on July 23rd to the 25th. It's not too late to register if you have not done so, and to find out if there's any groups in your area that can host you. You can do it physically with a group or virtually. To find a location nearest you, please go or register virtually, whatever. Go to www.kabbalah.info and click on the Mega Congress link. You'll find the schedule there, locations, and other information. And if you can connect to a physical group, if you can't get to a physical group, you can still participate virtually along with in the entire world clay. Also, our next fundamentals course, summer 2010, the one that you just completed 2 weeks before, there will be another course starting on Wednesday, August the 4th. So if you have any friends or family who you know are interested, please direct them to our learning center, and you know the site, www.kabbalahlearningcenter.info. Okay, now regarding the TV channel, there's not going to be a show. Where is that? There's not going to be a show right after this class, but there will be one at 11 p.m. tonight. So that would be after Rav Leitman's class. So right after this, you can go to Rav Leitman's class on TV on www.cub.tv. Let me write this down.
TV.Kabbalahinfo.
Cub.tv.
Oh,
that's for Rav Leitman's class. Right after this, okay. And then at 11 after this class, go to tv.kabbalah.info, and we have, so that's 11 p.m. Eastern. On this channel, Kabbalah.info, we have for you Generation Z, a fun 1-hour live show all about the bond that connects you and your friends from around the world who study and apply the wisdom of Kabbalah. Talk, music, and more. Be part of the action. You can call in, send in instant messages or video messages with the easy to use interface on the site. Generation Z, tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern on the Kabbalah channel. It's run by our very, very good friend Andrew Martin.
Yes.
Okay, we still have 5 minutes. So, just to remind you about the exercises for next week. Exercise number 1. Try to see within you how how the society is influencing us, where your thoughts are coming from. Do you want to be in your thoughts? Okay, what can you do about them? How can you switch your thoughts in order to be this collective group thought? Okay, so just try to sort of measure yourself. Second exercise is try to imagine what this virtual space of points in the heart above the corporeal, how it would feel without the corporeal body. How would you, if you had the corporeal body, how would you connect to your friends? Imagine you're in this isolation tank. Have you ever tried those?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I haven't. I've read about them. I'm too scared to enter them.
It's okay.
My ego will not let me. So imagine you're in this suspended animation. You only have your mind to work with.
Yeah.
Okay. So how you perceive your own point in the heart, how you find the points in the heart in your friends, how you connect to them. Okay, that's the exercise. And maybe we have I think 1 or 2 minutes. Last question.
Yeah. Back to Aneth, when we went back to spiritual more than physical, correction is spiritual. Do we recognize it as an individual? That was the last part.
So you recognize what as an individual?
I guess the correction as a spiritual to physical, is that more of an individual or is it with a group? I guess maybe that's what it means. I don't know.
Well, the ego, which you in your individuality, so to speak, is there. It's what you feel from the ego, and it's always there. It remains with you, but as a contrast, as something that weighs you down. But you go above it, and you connect, or you reveal actually that you are part of this huge collective, and you sort of feel everybody else as your own part. So in a sense, you sort of keep your individuality, but go above it, and feel this connections with others.
Yeah.
So hope that's.
I think sounds like that was the question was just Aneth was asking for. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We got.
Thank you, friends, greatly for your great questions, inspiring desires, and sharing your points with us. And don't forget about your class on Sunday, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.